Good morning, everybody. Now you know a lot about me. I know absolutely nothing about you guys. I was really honored when they asked me to talk about honesty because I like it. I think we all can say that we like honesty. We're probably not all great about giving honesty all the time. And so I want to start this off by telling you some honest truths about me, okay? So first and foremost, I desperately want your approval. Big time. I don't want anyone leaving thinking, man, they should have gotten Dana Del Val to do this one. But I don't need your approval. I want it, but I don't need it. A lot of times I think with honesty, we want honesty, but do we need honesty? When I ask someone, do I look good today? I don't want them to be honest most of the time. I want them to maybe, sprinkle in a little bit of white lie, a little bit of fib. And it's the people who are bluntly honest with me that just terrify me. But I tend to go to them first when I want a truth. When I was prepping for this talk, they give you this packet, and part of the packet is that all these creative individuals will be there, so when you're creating your slides, you don't want to use something like Comic Sans as a font, but here's another truth. I like the font Comic Sans. I think I heard someone wince in Pittsburgh. So Comic Sans actually has a little bit of a memory tag for me. I went to Fargo South High School, and go Bruins, and all other schools. Gwen Stark was my drama teacher, and she loved Comic Sans. Every handout, Comic Sans, Comic Sans, Comic Sans. The letter she wrote for my college application was in Comic Sans. And they actually wrote back to me noting, you might want to change the font if you're going to send this out to anybody else. But when I see Comic Sans, I have a real fond memory of it. And in my creative process, if it makes me feel good, I'm going to go for it. And I hope other people feel good for it as well. And then other people might wince. And they might say, I can't believe that he used Comic Sans in that slide. Even when I was doing my rehearsal for this, there was are you sure you want to do that one? Are you sure? Another piece of truth is I could do more to support other creatives. I am very sorry for missing your poetry reading. I understand you had a Kickstarter, but I really, really, really needed to recarpet my house at that time. There's a million things I could be doing to support other creatives. When you have a creative endeavor, when you have an opening, when you've got a show, when you've got anything that you want someone else to consume that you've created, it's the most important thing in the world. Getting people out there. Look at this place, it's packed today. And so this is the most important thing to Creative Mornings Fargo this morning, was to pack this place. But are we supporting the other creative people as much as we want them to support us? So that's more of just a question for you to think about yourselves, because I definitely could do more. And please, hold my feet to the fire after this. If I don't show up at your event, send me a text. I'll be there in 15 minutes, I promise. I check public toilets for snakes, just in case. Real world, terrified that there's going to be a snake in a toilet. I don't know what it is. If you ever use a bathroom, like out at the old Trollwood, for example, that one terrified me. I don't know what it is about that idea, but it definitely is terrifying. In my intro, I talk about being a snake wrangler, and it's true. That's something that I actually added to my resume. I'm terrified of snakes. They scare me to no end. I'm like Fargo's fatter Indiana Jones. And years ago, I was called and asked if I would take care of a 7-foot-long boa constrictor for the night. And I said, no, not gonna happen. And they said, would it make a difference if I told you it was Alice Cooper's? And I said, no, it doesn't. And so the honesty I'm going to share with you about this one is I took care of Alice Cooper's snake for the night. I looked at it once in this bag that it was inside of, and I almost peed my pants. But it makes a really great story to tell when you're at a place like this. I overcommit because I have a fear of missing out. I'm getting married tomorrow. I am in such trouble for being here right now. And truth be told, I proposed and we picked a date. 2 days later, I was asked to do this. And I said, absolutely, no problem. I'll be there. Fear of missing out is so tough. And that's where you need to get honest with yourselves. And you need to say, am I committing to too many things? Am I trying to be too many people? Am I trying to wear too many hats? Why is it so hard to be honest with ourselves sometimes? Why is it hard to say, like, listen, you did not get to the gym nearly enough this week? Or, man, you should have called your mom at least once more. Or, hey, listen, I've got a friend, they're having a tough time. I should be a better friend. Most of the time it's because we're doing too many other things and we're not checking in with ourselves enough. So if you can leave today and check in with yourselves in your car before you take off and think, okay, what am I worried about missing out on that's causing me to stretch too thin on a million other things that I'm doing? For example, like a wedding. I create the majority of my own creative roadblocks. I will full on tell you I cannot draw. I can't doodle. I can't paint. I don't know how that works. If you can do it, more power to you. I'd like to hang a piece of yours in my house, but it's something I cannot do. And I've said I can't so many times that I don't even attempt anymore. That's something I need to improve on for myself. That's where I got honest and said, why do I keep telling myself I can't? I should at least try. Maybe if I tried a little bit more, I would find something. When I was a kid, I used to hate tomatoes. I thought tomatoes were the most disgusting thing that you could ever consume. I don't know why people liked them so much. And maybe it's because I was a big fan of Muppet Babies, and they used to throw tomatoes at little baby Fozzie when he was doing stand-up routines. So I associated it with a negative memory. But when I was in 7th grade, I finally got around to actually eating a tomato, and boy, oh boy, I wasted a lot of years, because tomatoes are delicious. And if I just would have been honest with myself and said, stop putting these roadblocks in front of yourself, stop saying can't, I would have worked out a lot better. I also am a person who can't stop when I'm creating. And that's one of my big problems. I made a decoupage box a couple years ago, and it was awesome. It was just right. And then I was like, maybe one more David Bowie sticker. Just one. And then that led into like, it'd be great as if I clipped this out and I put a little hodgepodge on top of that. And before you know it, it was, this thick on top of the actual material, and it didn't look anything like what I wanted. And I said, if only I had learned to stop. If only I learned to get better about what I'm doing when I'm creating. And it took me a long time to just come to grips with that and to realize that that's honesty. It's more than truth. Being honest with yourself. For example, here's a true statement. I have not had breakfast this morning. That's a true statement. The honest version of that statement, though, is I did not have breakfast this morning because I thought I would throw up. So digging a little deeper than the truth with your honesty is going to help a lot. So I'm getting married tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. I've been with Jill for 12 years, so it was about time I committed, I guess. And when I proposed, one of the first conversations we had afterwards was how we want to be honest with each other from here on out. And any lies that we've told each other, any fibs, any tall tales, let's let bygones be bygones and start fresh. I proposed on the 5th of July. This has been the longest 3 months of my life. Planning a wedding is tough. Anyone out there ever plan a wedding? Yeah, a couple of you? Yep. It's tough. It's tough. I do events all the time, and somehow this became the most difficult thing I've ever done. Part of that was that honesty. And I remember sitting with Jill and her mother one day, and they were ganging up on me, as they tend to do. And I finally said, listen, I can be as involved in this process as you want, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts, or I can show up on the day of and just be surprised and comment like, those are really nice chair covers. And I let Jill make that choice. And she said, I want you to be involved. It's been a long time. And even yesterday, we got into an argument about whether or not her family coming into town is more important than me going through another speech for today. So going through my rehearsal process. And her honesty was blunt. Mine was skipping around. And finally I said, listen, we're both going to be angry at the end of the day, so why don't we just be honest with each other? You want me to go sit with your family and eat wild rice soup. I want to be prepared for tomorrow. And you see how I put that weight on it with my honesty? I tried to kind of guilt her a little bit with my honesty. Oh, honesty's powerful. When we're talking to other people and we get honest, I notice a lot of people say, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, like it's a bad thing. Like they're about to, fire a couple of bullets past you, just as warning shots. So why do we add weight to honesty to try and make people feel bad in that way? And we think we get away with it. It's like saying no offense before you say something offensive. You meant to be offensive. That's why you said it. This isn't a get out of jail free card. We're not playing Monopoly. One other major thing that I notice with honesty is the word dishonesty. Dishonesty, if you didn't know that, is the opposite of honesty. And when you look up the definition for the prefix dis in the dictionary, it includes the word dis in the definition for dis. It's something that's disrespectful. I said, well, that doesn't make sense to me that you can define something with the thing itself. So maybe it's just best to leave dishonesty on the shelf. My creative outlet is improvisation. I love improv. I've been performing since, 2000. At Fargo South High, I started with Don Quixotes. Then I went out to Chicago and I studied at the Second City, and I got to know all these amazing people who devoted their lives to making stuff up out of nothing. There's something I like about stepping on stage and not knowing what's about to happen, working with a partner to create that thing. Just out of curiosity, anyone here ever been to an improv show before? Live improv show? Yeah? Awesome. Go seek out some more of it. Support other artists, because now I'm going to support you. And one thing I really, really, really like about improv is the fact that honesty sells the scene. I could get out there and I could go and pretend to be a lumberjack for 5 minutes, but just being a lumberjack isn't as funny. It doesn't get as deep of a laugh, as earned of a laugh, as if I go out there and I'm honest. If that lumberjack is an honest character, maybe he talks about how I'm a lumberjack, but man, I love trees. I have a hard time. Every swing with the chop cuts me deep. Literally, I'm cutting that deep and it's cutting me deep. Honesty sells a lot of things. And kids, when they are performing improv, are the most honest of all. You ever talk to a kid and ask them a question and they give you an honest, blunt answer because they haven't been trained on how to be dishonest yet? Boy, that's amazing. No wonder there have been television shows devoted to just children saying stuff, right? I was coaching at the FMCT a few years ago, and I was working with some 5th grade girls. And they were all part of a Destination Imagination troupe, so they were taking an improv class. And these 2 girls were doing a scene set on a deserted island. They both sit down, And they just are talking about how, I can't believe the cruise ship sank. I know, can you believe that we're the only two who didn't get in a lifeboat? And their conversation starts to dwindle down until one of them points over and says, look, there's a box on the beach. And they go over to this box and they open it up, and there is a pair of jeans inside. And they're both amazed that there's a pair of jeans in this box. They never thought they would see a pair of jeans again. And they start having a discussion, and one person thinks the jeans should be used to capture fish and used as a net. The other person thinks, oh, no, we got to use these jeans as a signal so that we can signal ships and planes. And they get into an argument. And the climax of their argument comes to the point of where one girl looks at the other and says, these jeans are tearing our friendship apart. And it was so honest, and it was so true, and that's exactly what was happening in the scene. And these two girls are good friends in real life, but you could feel some real tension between them, where one was mad, the other one wasn't following them in the scene itself. And so they brought real-world feelings into this and said, these jeans are tearing our friendship apart. That became their team name the next year for Destination Imagination. I've watched thousands of improv scenes over the year. Very few of them stick into my mind, but I can vividly remember that. And whenever I see jeans, whenever I walk into the Gap, I always have a little chuckle to myself. I'm in the Santaland Diaries coming up at Theater B. Yeah, thank you very much. You haven't seen it yet. But it's a one-man show. I am terrified of this. When I was asked to be in this show, I really had to dig down deep and ask myself some questions as a performer. Can you do this? You overcommit all the time. It's only going to be you on stage. You're going to have to memorize pages and pages and pages of dialogue. Are you even ready to take on a one-man show? And I've got a fear of missing out, and I overcommit, and I like Comic Sans. All of these things are brewing together at one point, and I finally said, yes, I'm going to do this. And it's forced me to be honest with myself every night. Do I need to watch an episode of The Office I've already seen, or do I need to look at my script? It's been a real learning experience. My director's in the audience, and my assistant director's in the audience. I noticed my stage manager didn't make it. Thanks a lot. But I'm excited for it. And it's really forced me to be honest. And part of my performance is creating this character who needs to be honest. I'm talking directly with the crowd. I'm using somebody else's words, but I'm putting in a lot of the emotion. Am I being honest with the people out there? I got into theater in 10th grade. And I got into theater because of a kid named Phil Lund. Phil was just an older kid, and one day he sat down at my lunch table and he said, hey, listen, you should come and audition for this play. I think you'll like it. I thought, oh, well, you're a complete stranger. I might as well do what you said. And I auditioned and I got in. And I started this new group of friends. Full disclosure, I was a sweatpants and Garfield shirt kid until I got to 10th grade. I didn't own a pair of jeans until Christmas of 2000. Yeah, like for real didn't own a pair of jeans. So you can imagine my family photos. So Phil becomes one of my best friends really quick because I've never had a group of people who've supported me so much. The downside of this is, at that same time, my mom was in the throes of alcoholism. And she chose to go to a treatment center, a 28-day treatment center. So all of a sudden, I've got new friends, and I need to justify where my mom is. And I was embarrassed, and I was ashamed, and I lied. I said, oh, she's at this treatment center helping other people. And I left just enough information out where people filled in the gaps thinking, oh, she must be a counselor or a therapist. When my mom finished treatment, they recommended that she go to a halfway house to slowly reintegrate into the world. So now my 28-day lie is being stretched out for 6 months. And I keep lying to Phil. And I keep telling him, yep, now she's doing this thing. You'll meet her eventually. Don't worry. She's a wonderful woman. She can't wait to meet you. But I'm just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. If you look at an MRI of somebody who's lying, a lie uses 7 or 8 parts of your brain because it goes to a memory source, and that memory source has to fire a synapse to another part of the brain that says, yes, this is a false memory. You're acting like this is true, but it's not. And then there's a justification part, and it just goes all over the place. When you tell the truth, you're just enacting the memory part of your brain. And when you act the memory part of your brain, it leaves a lot of other space to work on other things. It allows you to have more empathy and emotion. So every lie you tell, every time you're dishonest, it's clouding up your brain. And I spent 3 months clouding up my brain until a friend finally told Phil, a friend who is closer to me, finally told Phil, oh, his mom was in treatment and now she's, in Duluth at this halfway house. And Phil confronted me about it. And he confronted me in a way that was maybe the greatest gift I've ever been given by someone outside of my immediate family. He says, hey, someone told me that your mom was just out here. You don't need to be ashamed. You don't need to worry about it. It's fine. You don't need to lie to me. What a gift. Then he said, is there anything else that you want to come clean about? And I said, oh yeah, okay. So let's just lay it all out here right now. Phil is the best man at my wedding tomorrow. I wouldn't like anybody else standing next to me more than him because he gave me the gift of allowing myself to be absolutely honest and allow that rush of being so dishonest and allowing the slate to be wiped clean. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I really want to wrap this up by telling you guys it's been an honor to talk to you. I encourage you to go out there and approach your work, approach your collaborators, approach your haters with as much honesty as you can because it is really, really, really going to come out for you in the end. The more honesty that you can give out, the more kind of joy and happiness that's going to surround you. And I did prepare another slide in case this didn't go well, which is this has been a real nightmare. But I think we can sit with this one instead. Thank you guys very much. Thanks for listening about honesty. On your tables, I have included some cards. And so after this is done, I want you guys to pull these cards out. Everyone randomly grab one. It's going to encourage you to get honest with the people at your table. Maybe they're friends, maybe they're coworkers, maybe they're people you've never met before. But there's some fun honesty that I think you guys are going to find from there. Thank you so much, folks.